Hello dear students, in this video we are going to see about another example, one more example in SLR parser, which is a bottom-up parser. And one of the important advantage here is in bottom-up parser, that is SLR, we don't want to check whether the given context-free grammar have a left recursion or left factoring. So directly we can go into doing the algorithm. So the first thing we have to do here is we are going to find the follow of all the non-terminals here, so which will be useful for us later. So first I am going to find the follow of all the non-terminals. So who are the non-terminals we have here? We have E, T, and F. So how will you find the follow? Follow means who is next to me, that is follow. So if you want to find the follow of E, see all the E's which is available in the right hand side. So here is an E. Who is present next to E is plus. So, and one more thing you have to remember here is if it is a starting symbol. So if you see in all this context-free grammar, who is the starting symbol? E is the starting symbol. So for always, when you find the follow for the starting symbol, directly you can write dollar because dollar is going to say the end, right? So here by default, you can add dollar. So then you have to see who is next to this E is plus. So I'm going to add a plus. Then who is, you see where other place E is available. Here is a E. So who is following E or which is who is next to E is close parenthesis. So close parenthesis. So all the three are the follow of E. So which means whenever I use E, who will be next to first symbol? Okay, who is the next symbol following this E? And then the follow of T. So you have to see the T. So here is a T, and who is next to T is nothing. So if nothing is following that, then you have to go and take the follow of the left hand side here E. So follow of E is, we know already we have found, that is dollar plus and uh, close parenthesis is there. So it is there. And the next one is, here is a T followed by T, nothing is there. Again, you have to, then it is, you have to take the follow of the left hand side, that is E. So already we have wrote the same thing. And then here is a T. So if you see this T, who is the follow of this T? That is star. So follow of this T is star. So that can also be included here. And if you see in the RHS, nowhere else T is coming. So that's all. So these are all the follow of T. And next thing we have to find is follow of F. And you see in the RHS, here is F. So here is a F followed by F, nothing is there. So you have to find the follow of the left hand side, that is T. So whatever there is in the T will also be coming here. Dollar plus close parenthesis star. And here again there is a F and followed by F, nothing is there. So we have to take the left hand side's follow, that is T. So that is already we have written. So nowhere else F is in the right hand side, that's it. So these are all the follow, right? So after finding the follow, what we are going to do, the next important step is we have to augment a production. A new production. How we have to augment is you have to see the starting symbol. Who is the starting symbol here? E. So we have to bring that starting symbol to the right hand side and introduce a new symbol E dash. So this is a augmented production we have to do. Augmented production. So this is the first thing you have to do after that. So augmented production is ready. So how will you do? Take the starting symbol, bring it to the right hand side and introduce a new non-terminal, that is E dash. So now let us start finding all the canonical items of this. So hope you know by listening to the previous video, we have to find the item of this. So that's how we started. So how will you find the item? E dash derives, you have to put a dot and then put E. So you have to start with the augmented production. This is E dash derive dot E. And after the dot, if you have a non-terminal, then you have to write all the productions of E that we call as closure. So here in the question, we have two productions of E. One is E derives E plus T. Always remember start with the dot. And here also start with T. So E had two productions, right? So both productions you have to write by putting a dot in the beginning. So dot specifies that we have not, in this case, we have not read anything. And we have to read E plus and T. At a time, we can able to read one symbol. And now if you see nearby the dot again, E is there. So already we wrote the productions of E. That is the closure. Now, if you see here in this production, after the dot, there is T. So we have to write, you see, since it is a non-terminal, we have to write all the productions of T. And again, T has two productions, write both by having a dot in the beginning. This is one production, and the next one is F. So we have completed. And then if you see after the dot, there is a non-terminal. So we have to write the productions of T. So now we have the productions of T is already written. That's it. So now if you see here after the dot, there is F. And we have to write all the productions of F. That we call as closure of F. So we have two productions of F. One is start with dot, okay? E, and other one is dot ID. And now if you see here after the dot, there is a terminal. So terminal means we cannot expand it further. Here also after the dot, it's an ID. It is also a terminal. Terminal means what? Further it cannot be expanded. Non-terminal means, for example, E, T, it can be further expanded because T can be expanded to this two productions, any one of it like. So terminal means nothing. We cannot expand it further. So that's it. We found the first canonical item set. We call it as I0. Right? So from this, our objective is we have to read all the symbols one at a time. So now the dot is in the beginning, right? Who is the next symbol to be read? Here is E. So we are going to read E from the state I0. So when I read E, what does it become? E dash derive E, and the dot will come this side. And if you look at here, there is another one E also here to read. So we have to read all. So here it is like E derives, and the dot will go one step further, and then plus T. And if you see anywhere else, if no E is there to read, so that's it. So this is over. So this state we can call it as I1. Okay, done. And if you see here after the dot, there is a terminal, so nothing is there, no other steps here. And now you look at here. Who is the next symbol to read here? Dot. Here we have T is the next symbol to read. So we are going to read the T. When I read the T, it is like E derives T dot because we completed. And if you look at here, there is another T is ready to read, right? So that also we have to write. So T derive T dot star F. So once you read the T, this dot will come one step forward because we are reading one symbol at a time. So we are reading T now. And if you see after the dot here, nothing is there. Here after the dot, there is a terminal. So nothing, no closure is there for, or no expansion is there for it. So, and if you see here, no other T is there to read, so we can finish it. So I'm going to complete it. And this one I'm going to call it as I2. Okay, what is the next symbol we have to read here? That is open parenthesis. So now we are going to read open parenthesis. So when I read open parenthesis, it is like F derive. The dot will come here and E and close parenthesis. And no other open parenthesis is there to read. And now if you look at here, after the dot, there is a non-terminal. So we have to find the closure. So we have to write all the productions of E. So starting with the dot. So it became an item, E plus T, and it has one more productions. And if you see here, after the dot, there is a non-terminal E. So we have to write all the productions of E. It is already there, so no issues. And here, if you see after the dot, there is a T, which is a non-terminal. So we have to write all the productions of T. So it is right dot T star F, and also it has one more production dot F. And if you see after the dot, there is a T. So T's production is already written. Here, if you see after the dot, there is a non-terminal F. So you have to write all the productions of F. So it is F derived dot E, and also it has one more production dot ID. So now if you see after the dot, there is a terminal. After the dot, there is a terminal. So that's it. So we have completed this. And let us name this with a new canonical item set as I3. Now, who is the next thing to read? Open parenthesis read. And the next thing we have to read is ID. So I'm going to read ID. So when I read ID, the dot will be going one step forward. So that's it. So no other IDs are there to read. So if you see here now, all the symbols after the dot has been read. Here E is read, here T is read, here T is already read. Here F is okay. We have to read F as well, right? So let us read F as well. So if I read F here, it is like T derive F dot. T derive F dot. So let us name this as I3. Okay. And let us name this as I4 and this as I5. So just a numbering only. Okay. So 1, 2, because as just maintaining order, first we have to read E, then we read T, then who's the next thing to read is F. So we read it here, and then open parenthesis is read, then ID is read. So accordingly, I have numbered it. Okay. So that is so 5 states, 5 new canonical items state we got. And the next thing, so I0 is over. Now come here to I1. So if you see I1, who is the next thing to read here? So here that is in final state because everything is read here. Here, who is the next symbol to read is plus. So I'm going to read plus. When I read plus, it is like E derive E plus, and the dot will come here and T. So T is a non-terminal, so I have to write all the productions of T. So it is like this dot F. And now after the dot, there is a T. T's productions are already written. And here, if you see after the dot, there is a F. So I have to write all the productions of F. So it is done. And now if you see after the dot, there is a terminal. Here is also after the dot, there is a terminal. So that's it. This state is also completed. And let us name this as I6. Okay, and now here in I1, everything is done. Now, if you see I2, who is the next symbol here? This is also a final state. And here, who is the next symbol to read is star. So let us read star. And when I read star, it is like T, right? T star, then dot will come here, F. And after the dot, there is a non-terminal F. So write all the productions of F by starting having a dot there. And now this is also over. Now we have completed reading dot star. So nothing is there to read more. So that's it. So let us number it as I7, canonical item 7. So here nothing else to read because we have read star. And now come to 3. Here is also final state, nothing to read. And then I4. Who is the next thing here to read is E. Here you have to read E. After the dot, E is there. So when I read E, it is like F derive, open parenthesis E, and the dot will come here now. And here, if you see, there is another one to read. That is, here is another an E. Here, E is also there, another E. So let us read that as well together. So it is like E dot plus T. And now, if you see here, after the dot, there is a plus, so nothing else is there to read. So that's it. Okay, so we have completed reading E. And now let us name it as I8. And if you see here, then who is the next thing to read is we have to read E. Sorry, T. So when you read T, it is like E derives T dot. And the next thing is here you have to again read this T as well. So if you read this, I will get this I2 state again. So when I read T, I'll get I2 state again. So no need to write it again, just number it, I2. And the next thing I have to read is open parenthesis. When I read open parenthesis, I'll get the same, this I4 again. So I'll say when I read open parenthesis, I'll get the state I4 again. So I'll write as such. So here we have read E, that is done. Then we have to read T, that is also done. And this is here. And then we have to read open parenthesis. And the next thing we have to read is ID. So when I read ID, I will get again the state I5. Right, same thing only I will get. So no need to write it again. And if you hear one more thing I have to read is F. So when I read F, I will get again I3. So this one, right? So when I read this F, I'll get this state F, T derives F dot. So everything after the dot, one symbol you have to read. So here after the dot, E is there. So this both is read together here. Here dot is dot, after the dot T is there. So we read T. So I'll get the I2 again. And then T is done. After the dot F is there. So we read F. So we'll get I3 again. And then here open parenthesis. When I read this open parenthesis, I'll get this I4 again. So I wrote it. And after the dot ID is there. So when I read ID, I'll get the same canonical item set of I5. So I have written the same thing. So this is done. So, and I4 is done. Here, if you see I5, nothing is there to read because it is again a final state. Then come to I6. So here, who is the next symbol to read here? It is T. So when I read T, how does it become E derived? E plus T dot. And if there is any other T to read, here is a T. So it is like T derived. T dot will come here and star F. And if there is any other T to read, nothing, right? So that's it. So this is a new item we got here. So let us name this item state as I9. And now the next thing we have to read here is F. So if I read F here, I will get the next state as, because already it is like T derive F dot. So T derive F dot is already here. So I can just write it as I3 itself. And then who is the next symbol to read is open parenthesis. So when we read, I'll write it here. So when we read open parenthesis, I will get the same state of I4. Same thing I'll get. And then ID is also there. When I read ID, I will get the same state. ID is this one, F derive. I5 will be getting F derive ID plus. So I'll write I5. So when I read ID, I'll get the same thing. So everything is done. So now who is the next thing? So I6th state, we have read T is done. And then we read F, and then we read open parenthesis, and then we read ID. So that's it. Now here in this I7, we have to read F. So when I read F, it is like T derived T star F dot. And it become final state. There is nothing else to read with F. So here we read F. So this is a new state. So let us name it as I10. And here again, next thing I have to read is open parenthesis. When I read open parenthesis, I will get I4. And the next thing is I have to read ID. So when I read ID, I will get again I5. So everything is done. Then I8. In I8, what is the next thing? I have to read close parenthesis. When I read close parenthesis, it is right. E close parenthesis, and the dot will go to the last. So this is a new state. We got it. It is I11. And now here I have to read, next one is plus. So when I read plus, I will get the same state as I6. Wait, see here, when I read this plus, the dot will come here. So the same thing will be repeated again. So I6 will be getting again. So everything, close parenthesis and plus is read here. Then I9. If you see in I9, who's the next thing to read is, we have to read the star. And if you read the star, I'll get the same thing again, right? So I don't want to repeat it again. So I can just say, when I read star, I will get the same state as such I7. And what is I10? I10, everything is read. And I11 is also everything is done. So this is how we have to find all the canonical items. So totally how many canonical items that we got? 11. 0 to 11 canonical item sets we got. So that is the next step. So what is the next step we have to do is, from this, we have to find the parsing table. So we are going to find the parsing table. So in the parsing table, we have to construct the parsing table by, in the row, we have to write all the states. How many states we got from this canonical item set? Totally 11, right? So we have to write all the states. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So that will be there in the rows. What will be there in the column? So the column can be divided into two things. The first part we can call it as action part. So in the action part, we have to write all the terminals. So what are the terminals we have here is in the grammar, we have ID, we have plus, we have star, open parenthesis, close parenthesis, and the dollar, which says the end of the string that need to also be considered in the terminals. So these are all the terminals in our production. And also we have to find the go-to. In the go-to, you have to find all the non-terminals. What are the non-terminals? We have E, T, and F. So this all have taken from this grammar. And one more thing we have to do here now is we have to number all this production. So when you normally just number it one by one, this is the first production, second production, third production, fourth production, fifth production, and sixth production. So these are the productions. So now we can start filling this parsing table. So remember, in the rows, we have to write all the state. In the column, we have two part. One is action part. In there, we have to write all the terminals. In the go-to part, you have to write all the non-terminals. So now let us start filling this parsing table. So what is the first thing is, we have to go for the zeroth state. And you have to see where are the go-tos are there in zeroth state. So here in the zeroth state, if you see from zeroth state, we have E. We are going on E. So when it is going on, it is going to the state number 1. So what you have to write in the table is, you have to write zeroth state on E, it is going to the state number 1. So you have to write 1 here. So what is the next thing? On zeroth state, on capital T, it is going to the state number 2. So here you have to write 2. And then you see from zeroth state, it is going in open parenthesis. In open parenthesis, it is going to the state I4. So what you have to write is, in open parenthesis, don't write I4, instead you have to write S4. What is S4 means? S stands for shift. Okay, so you have to just write S4. F4 is the state number. And then what is the next thing? From zeroth state, it is going to F. And it is going to the state number I3. So here you have to write 3. So in the go-to part, write only the number. Okay, and in the action part, based on the scenario, you have to write. Okay, and now what is the next thing? ID. So if it is a terminal, so in zero state on ID, it is going to the state number 5. So here what you have to write? Yes, 5. That is shift 5. So 5 is the state number. So from zero state, wherever it is going to, it is, you have to fill everything. So we have done. So zeroth state is over. So who is the next state we have to fill is state number 1. So now go to state number 1. If you see in the state number 1, here we have a final state. Why it is called final state means we have read all the symbols, which means the dot came to the last. And one more thing, when you see in this production, it is a special production, which means this is an augmented production, right? So it is a final state. It is also an augmented production. If it is an augmented production, we have to write 1 on $accept. So it is a final state. So also this is an augmented production. A final state means every symbol is read here. The dot came to the last. And so since it is a special augmented production, which is also a final state, so we have to write 1 on $, you have to write accept. So in the state number 1, 1 on $, we have to write accept. Okay, so and then if you see in the state number 1 again, it is going to plus. Go to is there for plus. So on plus, it is going to state number 6. So here it is going to state number 6. So what you have to write on plus? You have to write S6. Right? So in the action part, you have to just write shift and the number of the state. So that's it. So the first state, we have a final state. Since it is an augmented production, we wrote accept. And then for plus, it is going to the state number I6. So we wrote S6 here. And now what is the next states? canonical item state 2. So from 2, where are the places it is moving? One is it is going. Okay. Here, if you look at here is a final state. This is a final state. So if it is a final state, then what you have to do is you have to go and check the production number of this. What is the production number of E derived T dot E derived? The production number is 2. So what do you have to do it? In I2, we have to write in the place of E's follow. Since it is a final state, go and find the follow of E. What is the follow of E? Dollar plus close parenthesis. So in the place of dollar plus close parenthesis, you have to write the production number of it. What is the production number? 2. So you have to say R2. So in the place of plus R2. What are the other thing here in the follow? Plus dollar close parenthesis. So here also R2, here also R2. Why we wrote R2? Because this is a final state. E derived T is a final state because dot came to the last. And what is the number of this production? That is 2. E derived T is second production. And then that is why, since it is a final state, it is present in the state number 2. So in the second state, we have to find the follow of the left-hand side. So E is follow of dollar plus and close parenthesis. So in the place of dollar plus and in the close parenthesis, we have written R2. What is why we wrote R? Because it's a final state. Why we wrote 2? It is a production number. And why we wrote in plus dollar close parenthesis? That is the follow of the left-hand side, that is E. So that's it. And if you see next in I2, we are going to star. O2 is there on star. So on star, where it is going? It is going to the new state called 7. So what you have to write here is 7. Right? Okay, as usual, we completed it. So that's it about the state number 2. Now go to state number 3. So state number 3 is also a final state because everything is red here. So what do you have to do? First, find the number of the production. T derived F is fourth production. And if, you have to find the follow of the left-hand side, that is T. T's follow is dollar plus close parenthesis and star. So the production number is what? 4. So we have, since it is a final state, in all the follow of that, we have to write R4. So here it is 4. Here also 4. Here is it 4. Here it is also 4. So why I wrote in plus star close parenthesis and dollar plus star close parenthesis and dollar are in the follow of T. So left hand side is T. So in the all places of follow of T, we have to write R and the production number, that is fourth production. So I wrote R4. So no other production is there, that's it. So that is done. And then we are going to the next state. Fourth state. If you go to the fourth state, here this is the fourth state. So where are the places the fourth state is going? Here if you see no other final state is there. Fourth state is we have go to on E. On E it is going to the state number I8. So on here you have to write the number alone. In the action part, write number alone. And then here you have on capital T, it is going to I2. On capital T, write 2. And then if you write F is there, right? It is going to 3. And now where are the other place? It is going to open parenthesis. On open parenthesis, it's going to I4. So what do you have to write? Here you have to write yes, 4. And if you see here on fourth state, we have, it is going on ID as well. On ID, it is going to I5. So on ID, you have to write yes, 5. With the terminal, write the state number with yes. Okay. So that's it. That's it. And then we are going to the next state, I5. So if you see I5, it is also final state. And what is the production number? 6. F derived ID is the production number 6. And what is the find the follow of left hand side? If you see the follow of left hand side, what are all there in the follow of left hand side? Dollar plus close parenthesis and star. So in the place of all these places, you have to write R6, 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 R6. So in the place of plus, star, close parenthesis, and dollar. That is, they're all the follow of F. Why I found the follow of F? That is the left-hand side. In all those places, you have to write R and the production number. What is the production number? 6. And so all the places I wrote it. So what is the meaning of R? R means reduce. So you'll understand when you do parsing, what has happened when you do reduce. Which means, what is the meaning? For example, E plus T can be reduced to E. T into F can be reduced to T. That is what the meaning of reduce. So the fifth state is also now over. And now let us go to the next state, that is sixth state. So if you go and see the sixth state, where is sixth state? Here is the sixth state. So on sixth state, on capital T, it is going to I9. So we have to just write T, you have to write 9 alone. And then if you see in the sixth state, on capital F, it is going to I3. So we have to write 3 alone. And in the sixth state, where else it is going? On open parenthesis, it is going to I4. On open parenthesis, it is going to I4, so I write S4. And then if you see here, on ID, it is going to I5. So on ID, you have to write S5. Okay, so that's it. We have written everything which is going to in S6. So S6 is over. So, and it doesn't have any final state as well. Now, if you see in the seventh state, where are the places it is going on? Seventh state, we don't have any final state. It's going on F, on open parenthesis, and ID. So on F, it is going to I10. So let us write on F, you have to write 10 alone. And then what is the other place it is going? Open parenthesis, it is going to I4. So on open parenthesis, you have to write S4. And then what are the other places it is going on? And it is going on ID as well. ID, it is going to I5. So you have to write S5. So if it is a terminal, write it as yes, that is shift. So done with that. So let us go to the eighth state. So when you go to the eighth state, you have to say what are the go-tos are available there. If you see in 8, who is the 8? This is the 8th state. So where are the go-tos or we have on close parenthesis, it is going to 11, I11. So in close parenthesis, write S11. And in the 8th state, we are going on plus. On plus, it is going to I6. So we have to write S6. So that's it. No other go-to is there in the state number I8. This is the I8, right? With I8 state. So that's just done. And the next one is I9. Where is I9? Here is I9. So in I9, we have a final state. This is a final state, which means we have read all the symbols here. So, and then we have to find, what you have to do? We have to find the follow of E and the production number. What is the production number of E derives E plus T? That is 1. And what are the follow of the dollar plus and close parenthesis? So, in the ninth state, in the place of dollar plus and close parenthesis. So, here dollar R1 plus R1, and in the close parenthesis, I have to write R1. So why I wrote, hope you got it. In the ninth state, you have a final state and you have to find the production number, that is 1. And for the follow of left hand side, that is E, that is plus close parenthesis dollar, we have to write R1. And now here if you see an ninth state, we are going on star, that is S7. And star, we have to write S7. That's it. So no, nothing else is there in that state. So then 10th state. If you go and see the 10th state, this is the final state. What is the number of it? It is third state. And what is the? It is a final state. So find the follow of T. It is dollar plus close parenthesis and star. So in all these places, you have to write R3. So we have to write R3 here, R3, R3, and here also R3. And what is the next thing? 11th state. Here is the 11th state. This is also a final state. So what you have to write? Find the follow of f. It is the follow of f is dollar plus close parenthesis and star. What is the production number of it? That is 5. So we have to write R5 in all the follow position. So R5, here you have to write R5, 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 R5. So that is the final state. So we reduced it with the production number, that is R5. So parsing table is done. So that, right? So we know the canonical items. Based on this canonical item set, we came to the parsing tree. Now, what is the main important thing? Using the parsing tree, you have to check whether it has whether a given input string can be parsed with this context-free grammar or not. So let us take a input string. Let us do parsing. Okay. Parsing can be done. Parsing means you have to check whether the input string can be derived from the given context-free grammar or not. So for that, what are the things I have to do is I have to take a stack. And then for our understanding, I'm going to use a buffer called symbol for us to understand. This is optional one. Okay. This is an optional one. And then I'm going to take the input for which I have to check the syntax. And the next I'm going to say what is the action need to be done. So these are the things I need. So let us do the parsing. Symbol, the input. Okay, so what will be there in the stack? When you do the top-down parsing, we put the dollar and the starting symbol there. Here, what you have to start the stack will start with the initial state. What is the initial state? I is 0, right? That's so 0. We are starting with 0. And the input we are going to parse is ID into ID plus ID. And to denote the end of the input, put a dollar. Right? So remember, stack will start with the initial state, that is 0th state. And then this is the input we want to pass. So now let us start. So now we have to see what is 0 on ID. What is 0 on ID? That is S5. So S5. What is S5 means? I have told you S means shift. So initially the pointer is here. So you have to shift this here. One step here. So in the symbol initially dollar is there, okay, by default. So when I shift this, dollar, ID will come here. And what will be there here? Star ID plus ID dollar. And this number 5 should be pushed inside the stack. So 0 and 5. So shift means shift one point. The pointer should be shifted one step forward. So this ID will be coming this side. So what is there remaining? Star ID plus ID. And then the number 5 should be pushed inside the stack. Now, what is there? 5. Here, top of the stack is containing 5. Here you have star. So you have to see what is 5 on star. What is 5 on star? It is R6. So 5 on star is R6. R6 means what is the number 6 with R? It is the production number. So sixth production is what? What is the production for 6? F derive ID. So use this F derive ID. So what you have to do for reduce it, you have to reduce ID to F. So dollar and this ID can be reduced to F. That is what reduction is. And now what is the next thing you have to do is you have to see how many symbols are there in the right hand side. How many symbols? Only one symbol. So strike out one entry in the stack. Then you have to see who is in the top of the stack now? 0. 0 on left hand side here. What is 0 on F? You see what is 0 on F? That is 3. So that needs to be pushed here. 0, 3. Okay. So it is like 0, 3. And what is remaining in here? Star ID plus ID dollar. So now you can understand this ID is now reduced to F. And now you have to see how many symbols are there in the right hand side. One symbol means like one entry in the stack. And then top of the stack is 0. 0 on the left hand side F. So 0 on F is 3. So push that to stack. So 0, 3. And the remaining are such. Now who is in the top of the stack? 3. 3 on star. What is 3 on star? 3 on star is R4. So write R4 4 means write the fourth production. What is the fourth production here? That is T derive F. So write T derive F. So what is the meaning? F can be reduced to, here we have F, no? This F can be reduced to T. And now see how many symbols are in the right hand side, only one symbol. So strike out one entry in the stack. And then see 0 on T. What is 0 on T? That is 2. So 0, 2. That's it. And write the remaining things there. Plus ID dollar. Now you have to see what is 2 on the top of 2 on star. What is 2 on star? 2 on star is S7. So shift means what I said, this pointer is now here. So we have to shift one symbol this side, that is star is came this side. So here it is ID plus ID dollar and this 7 should be pushed inside. That is what shift operations. And now who is in the top of the stack? 7. Here it is ID. 7 on ID. What is 7 on ID? 7 on ID is S5. So S5. Shift means what I said. You have to shift a symbol. So the pointer will be moving forward. So this ID will be coming here. And the remaining is ID plus ID dollar. And this 5 should be pushed inside the tag. 275. So now we have the top of the stack is 5. 5 on plus. So I have to see what is 5 on plus. See plus is here. What is 5 on plus? 5 on plus is R6. R6. What is R6? 6 means sixth production. What is sixth production? F derive ID. So it is F derive ID. So now we can say T star ID can be derived to F. And here it is plus ID dollar. And what is the other thing I told? You have to see how many symbols are there in the right hand side. So one symbol. So strike one entry. Then you see 7 on F. What is 7 on F? 7 on F. It is 7 on F is 10. So you have to push that 2, 7, 10. Right? That's it. Now you have to see 10 on plus. So this is 10 on plus. Top of the stack is 10 and plus. What is 10 on plus? 10 on plus is R3. So find what is R3 is. So what is the third production? Third production is T derived T star F. So T derived T star F. So what you can do? This T star F is now can be reduced to T. And how many symbols are there in the right hand side? 3 symbols. T star F. So you have to cut 3 top entries. Now we have to say 0 on left hand side, that is T. 0 on T is what? 2. So push that here. 0, 2. And here you have plus ID dollar. Now you see top of the stack is 2 and plus. And so 2 on plus. What is 2 on plus? 2 on plus is R2. So R2. R2 means you have to take the second production. What is the second production? E derives T. So we have to write E derives T, which means T can be now reduced to E. Right? That is the meaning. T can be now reduced to E. So that we have did. And see how many symbols are there in the right hand side? One symbol. So cut off one entry. And you have to say 0. Top of the stack is 0 on E. So what is 0 on E? 0 on E is 1. So 0, 1. Okay. And here, what is the remaining? Plus ID dollar. Okay, got it. Now what you have to say? Top of the stack is 1, 1 on plus. What is 1 on plus? 1 on plus is S6. So 1 on S is S6. So what are things you have to do? S means shift. So dollar E, shift the plus this side and push this number here, 0, 1, 6. So here you have ID and dollar because plus was shifted here. Now who is in the top of the stack? 6. 6 on ID. What is 6 on ID? Look at here. 6 on ID is S5. So I have to write S5. So when it is again a shift, So what you have to do, dollar $E plus this ID will be shifted this side, this ID, and here you have dollar. And that number will also come here, 165. Now 5 on dollar. What is 5 on dollar? 5 on dollar is R6. So I have to write R6. What is the sixth production? F derived ID. So what you can do, dollar $E plus ID can be now written as F reduced. Dollar, and you have to see how many productions are there in the symbols are there in the right hand side, one. So I will cut off one symbol and 6 on F. What is 6 on F? 6 on F is 6. 6 on F is 3. So I have to push that 3, 0, 1, 6, 3. And now see 3 on dollar. So see 3 on dollar is R4. So what is R4? Fourth production is T derives F. So what you have to do, you can see dollar $E plus F can be reduced to C. See, F can be reduced to T. So see the right hand side, how many symbols are there? 1. So cut off one symbol and 6 on T. What is 6 on T? 6 on T is 9. So it will be 0, 1, 6, 9. Right. So here we have dollar $E plus T, and here you have dollar. So 9 on dollar. What is 9 on dollar? 9 on dollar is R1. So you have to is R1. So what is the first production? E derived E plus T. So now you can see it is E derived E plus T is derived to E. Here you have dollar. How many symbols are there? 1, 2, 3. So 3 entries you can strike here. So I have striked it. And then you see 0 on E. What is 0 on E? It is 1. So 0, 1 will be coming. Right? And now 1 on dollar. See, 1 on dollar. What is 1 on dollar? Accept. So that's done. So we got accept. So what is the meaning of it? We have the given input string is accepted, which means this input string, that is ID plus ID into ID plus ID is a valid input string. It doesn't have any syntactical error. And now you can see we have reduced and we came from the input string. From this input string, we finally derived to the start symbol. That is what bottom-up parser, right? From the input string, we have to come to the starting symbol. Now you can see we came to the starting symbol as well. So now this is how a bottom-up parser is happening. From the input string, we started reducing this ID to F, then F to T, then T to T star and T star to ID. Like this, we reduced. And finally, we came to the starting symbol. So this is what called as bottom-up parser. And we found that the input string is also valid. And we done it through SLR parser. Hope you have got it. If you have any doubt, you can revisit this video once again so that you will be understanding very well. God bless you, ma.